Hi, I'm Troy Colmer, and welcome to Mastering the Matrix podcast. My mission is to give you all the tools, tips, and tricks on how to hack the matrix to really excel in this life and to finish this year off in the best possible shape, both in mind and body. Today, I've got the beautiful Pia back again. How are you, Pia?
I'm good, Troy. Thanks. How are you?
How's your week been?
It's good. Very
Yeah.
productive. Sunny here in Melbourne, which is nice.
Has anything exciting happened in the land of Pia?
Besides Pia's launching her breathwork business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has it
And a
just
couple,
you've just started that?
yeah. Yep. Just setting up. I've done a couple of events for friends and just setting it up online to do online 90 breathwork sessions. So it's 9 layers of healing
Yeah.
in the breathwork, which is really, really fun. And then you just facilitate the breath as part of it. So you've got the binaural beats, you've got the NLP, there's sound healing and everything going on in the background while you're actually receiving a breathwork journey. So it's very exciting.
It sounds a bit like meditation as well, is it? Is it sort of
Yeah,
meditation as you're doing the breath?
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So each journey, like you wear headphones for this because it's a bit of a surround sound
Yeah.
and there's all the subliminal information coming out, and each journey takes you into a release. Through the breathing, there's a process of release to catharsis, and then a rebuilding after that. And in that space, depending on how how deep you want to go and what you want to receive, like you can have amazing transformation um, just doing regular breath because of all the other layers, or you can go straight into the full on breathing exercises, which can bring up the put you into transcendental meditation. It can put you in altered states of consciousness. Um, and who knows where you're going to go. It's you just got to trust that it's perfect in that particular moment, and you get the
Yeah.
healing that you need. So it's really powerful work. I've only just recently discovered it,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's like regular breath work and sound healing on steroids.
Yeah. That's what I say. I say, but I think that we're coming into a time. They say that we're coming into this Pisces era, um, and it's just started. I think it started in 2000. So it's like we're 20 years into it's. I think it goes for like 300 years or something. Apparently,
What are you on?
Pisces. I
Oh,
think
Aquarius.
Aquarius. No,
Yeah,
we're coming from Pisces to
we're
Aquarius. Is that
coming
right?
from Pisces. Yeah,
To Aquarius, right? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's right. Either way, but yeah. So I think I'm finding that because when I work with people, I'm just finding it's a lot quicker. Even that it was always been quick, but now it's even seems to be quicker. Like
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
people are just getting quicker and quicker results. Like the old days of going to see a therapist, I think within the next couple of years that will all be gone. I
Mm-hmm.
think because it's going to be, unless the powers, the FEB take it all away, but which, that could happen. But um, I think over the next few years that the cat's going to be out the bag, and people, because if you don't want to, if you choose that you don't want to suffer anymore, I mean, you'll have the choice to say, well, okay, I actually like suffering, and because I get benefits. It's a real thing. People get benefits from it. You might be getting paid from work for being off
Mm-hmm.
sick, or you might have a lot of friends that are sick. So then you're one of them. You're one of
Mm-hmm.
the crowd. So there are a lot of people, but for the people that are over it, instead of going and spending, thousands of dollars and weeks and months trying to do talk therapy, which doesn't work, or years, you know, you can just do one of these session things, and it's like an hour later, it's all gone.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's just like
Like,
I just finding that it's the people that are choosing to want to remove all that stuff like stress and anxiety and traumas and all those things. Like it's almost instant. Like within an hour, it's almost gone. And so, and I'd say with your breath work, they'll find that'll probably be the same thing because it's all sort of the same at the end. Like it all goes towards it's all sort of the same result.
yeah, whatever modality you choose,
Yeah, like there's a,
does go towards the same
but I
result.
think any of the alternate modalities are going to will work because it's all based off belief system as well. So, if you believe that you can heal yourself, it's like Dr. Joe Dispenza, with all his stuff. If as soon as you believe that you can heal yourself, well, then it just becomes like automatic because we're designed to heal ourselves.
Yeah, I have a saying that I've always lived by because I've, as you know, done multiple modalities, just any kind of alternative healing, starting with talk therapy way back when. And I've I believe that all healing is self-healing.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't go to a healer, right? If somebody's healing you, you're still looking outside of yourself for that empowerment. So if all healing is self-healing, and like you say, we can heal ourselves, then the journey to that healing is less important than that choice, as you say, to unburden yourself.
Yeah, because it's
whatever program you've been carrying. So once you make that choice, a modality will show up, or a person will show up, or something will happen where you'll have an opportunity to make a choice of I'm going to keep this, or I'm going to let it go. And we are moving into a place where it's getting that fast, which is amazing.
Yeah, and it's not just healing, like because I did this belief, I don't know, a few months back. I think it might have been more towards the start of the year about having under 20% body fat. And so I weighed myself again the other day, and I had a look on because it's all logged. I've got like a Bluetooth scale, and it's sort of logged ever since I've started. I weighed myself like 250 or 60 times or something since I've had it.
Wow.
Yeah, because I'm always experimenting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then it's just like it's sort of like flatlined under 20% the body fat. Like it's sort of like it just dropped like a stone all the way down to the just under. It's about in between 19 and 20%. It's just been sitting there the whole time. Like I just weighed myself yesterday, and it was 19.3 or something.
Nice.
Yeah, I haven't changed it. I really haven't changed anything other than the belief.
But that speaks to something, and because you believe in the work and because you've been doing it for so long, that's the evidence, right? So by having that journal and seeing that's the evidence of how this works. Which brings up something about paying close attention. Like when you do those beliefs, like just don't forget about them, like journal, like log it. And then you can see, and the more evidence you have that systems are working, the more evidence you have of the change that you put the work into doing, then and the belief gets stronger and stronger, then the faster results.
Yeah, it's definitely because when you cut your finger, like everybody
I try not to cut my finger.
But when if you cut your finger or do some sort of cut or a graze or something, like everybody believes that they can heal themselves from that. I don't think there's be very few, maybe a fraction of a fraction of a percent of a person would think they can't heal themselves from that scratch or cut or like so everyone believes they can heal themselves from that. So it has to heal yourself, like it has to.
Mm-hmm.
But then, what's the difference between all the other stuff? There isn't any. There isn't any. It's only because we've been told that you can't heal that. You can heal these types of things, but this other thing you can't.
Yeah. It's like, what's the difference between manifesting a parking space and, $1 million or, $1 and $1 million or something like that? There is no difference other than in the belief in what you're doing.
Yeah.
But, that's part of too, that's what we're, the programming as well. Like I was just thinking as you were talking about healing yourself from a cut, because I like to watch commercials and I watch TV just to see what kind of messages that are streaming through. And because I think it's just their big hypnosis machine, right? The Black Mirror. But when I was growing up, there was all these commercials about Band-Aids, right? You fall, you scrape,
Oh yeah.
And I haven't seen any commercials about Band-Aids lately. And I don't know, maybe parents see commercials about Band-Aids and I don't, which would be a whole different level of what they can do on their TV. But now, I see programming on the TV and it's always about cancer and heart disease and those things. And like, cuts have been forgotten. So it's interesting that you bring cuts up because we're not getting any subliminal anything about cuts.
Yeah. But I think mainstream telly is designed now for just the sort of our age and above, because all the younger generations, they're watching either Netflix or YouTube or some other thing on their phone. I don't think many people younger than us are watching anything on the telly.
Yeah, there's still ads though. They still have the ads coming up and stuff. But I guess it's all data mined, so they don't have to worry about actual ads in programs. Like
Yeah.
you said. Yeah. Um, but yeah, no, it's you're absolutely right. If you can heal the scrape, like your body has the infinite wisdom to know exactly what to do for optimum health. It's just we're getting bombarded constantly with so many things that imprint this the body being weak programming, right?
Yeah.
The disempowering of the self, the weakness of the human body, right? Like this machine is a miracle, and yet in the last 4 years they've managed to convince you know billions of people that we need a man-made drug for this miracle to keep running. You know,
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And talking about programming, I got this thing from the Red Cross, right? It says, there we go. It says, "Are you disaster ready?"
there's programming.
Programming to its best. This is in our mailbox. Are you disaster ready? And it's got all the stuff on the back, and then it's got a QR code, of course. And then, of course, there's an app that you can download to get your disaster relief ready. But then
Mm-hmm.
if you go onto the mainstream, like every country now seems to have some sort of disaster going.
Mm-hmm.
And so the programming, I wouldn't be surprised if this is, because we're in Australia, obviously. I wouldn't be surprised if in Australia, this is getting us ready for some sort of disaster that's coming to Australia.
100%. Like that right there. Are you disaster ready? The implication there is that disaster is is pending.
Yeah. They get, they
That's how
get, they're
it's a
getting us ready.
programming phase, right? And it's present tense. It's how spell casting is done. It's present tense. It pops out into your brain. And you go, and even if you hadn't been thinking about pending doom, now you're thinking about pending doom.
Yeah. And then say you see this, right? Are you disaster ready? Oh, that's in your brain. And so then, like you said, it's like looking for the yellow car.
Yeah.
And so as soon as you turn on your social media, and then be something pop up on the side about the Maui fires or something, maybe in Hawaii, or I think there's like hurricanes or something in America, and then there's all these other fires going on around the world.
Yeah, Canada's on fire pretty bad right now.
Yeah,
They got, they
Canada's
got
on
that.
fire, and
They
then
got a media ban, so nobody's hearing about that.
and
Um,
they've already told us in Australia that we're going to have the worst fires that we've had this year, because we're going to heat up because of climate change.
mhm,
So this is, yeah, all this is leading to something.
mhm.
This is what people don't realize, that the whole thing's just um augmented reality. It's like they are designing the reality to happen for all of us.
But I think that I agree 100%. Um, that, but if you look at how manifesting works on that global level, and I know you know how to do this, but it's like they're telling us what, not what is, but what they want.
Yeah.
And then we, as a society, are speaking, or spell, I call it spell casting. We're actually speaking to the future that they want to create. And in that, they've enrolled us in this doom. People are speaking to the doom. Now the doom has energy. Now the doom is going to be created.
Yeah.
Right? Because where energy goes, whatever that saying is, right?
Where energy flows where
Focus.
focus goes.
Yeah, exactly. And all that.
Yeah.
And so we've got millions of people thinking disaster
Yeah.
because of this kind of program, like just with that card, right? And talking about disaster now and what's in a disaster kit and what we need. And so all these conversations happen that weren't happening, before. And it's inviting disaster.
Yeah. Because I was looking, I'm thinking, Like I'm in the suburbs. Like what possible disaster would I need to be prepared for?
Yeah.
It says, have you got your bags packed? That's what it says on here.
Yeah.
Get in the know, get connected, get organized, get packing.
Hmm. They want your house, Troy.
Yeah. So you
Um,
can, if you need to leave home quickly, like what?
yeah.
What? Why? Pack an emergency kit in case you need to leave home quickly.
Hmm.
So they're already telling us what's happening.
Hmm.
And then so when that comes, when they do whatever they're going to do, oh yeah, see, that's what they said. They said it was going, we'd need to be have to, that's why I've got this disaster kit ready.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and then you feel smart because you've got it all set and stuff like that. But, and and even in the program, you don't want to say, and this is where I said it. Like you don't want to go, oh, it's nothing. You don't have to worry about it because it's, that's not the world I'm living in. But even within that programming, and I like to think I'm past this, but if disaster comes my way, so be it. That you still want to get ready just in case. Actually,
Mm.
you don't want to believe it, right? But just in case. But then that's still giving energy to somebody else's vision.
Well, how do you not? That's the thing, isn't it? Like it's very hard to just, well, I suppose you
Yeah.
just throw it in the bin, but it's in your mind. You can't unsee something.
Well, it's just how much energy you're going to give.
Yeah. And I think
But even
because,
getting disaster ready, right? Even in preparing, having your travel bag or whatever, you can do it from a place of fear, which is a whole lot of energy going into this thing, right? Or you can just say, okay, I'm just going to pack a bag, throw it in, and I forget about it,
yeah,
right? Like, and it's so, and everybody's going to be different on that score as well, right? So do it without the attachment of anything, without the emotional um, charge, so to speak. Yeah,
yeah,
it's weird. But we're being programmed like since 20, like it's all been programmed. Programming started long before that. But, you know, like Dan Andrews here in Victoria, 100 days straight. Like, I'm sorry, what premier works 100 days straight and does a 2 hour, or however long they were, press conference every weekend, every day, every holiday? Like he didn't stop, right? It was just, he was in your living room, imprinting in your brain that COVID is going to kill you,
yeah,
right? And people were glued to their TVs because they couldn't get out of their house, and just stronger and stronger and stronger. Like that's programming. That's what they do. That's how it works. Like if you look at the development of a child, right? 1 to 7, or not to 7 or something like that, when they're just watching things and they don't have the cognitive ability to cipher and discern. And so they will see something and they will make meaning of it. And those kids carry it, right, for the rest of their life, whatever that meaning that they create at 5. Right. And it could have been absolutely nothing. But that's how programming works.
yeah. It's a crazy how programmed that we are. Like,
But everything.
how easy humans are programmed. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
incredibly, yeah. Well, it's exactly like we keep saying. It's like the hypnosis when you go to the
Mm-hmm.
event. The show event, the hypnosis show. When the guy get the people up on stage, and because I used to think that was all bunkum. I used to
Mm-hmm.
think that surely people couldn't, but that's all 100% real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like people hand over the reins to somebody else.
Yeah. And they're happy to do so because we do it all the time. We outsource responsibility. How much
Well,
responsibility do we outsource our phone right now? It was late. My alarm didn't go off. Google Maps took me the wrong direction, right? Outsourcing responsibility. I just had a thought about that though when you were saying that, Troy. With being programmed and how easily programmed we are, because I'm starting to see this as this you know divine being within, right? Like, so the frequency of each of us is divine and high vibration, or whatever you want to call it, right? The essence of us, our true state, our enhanced innate state. And then we have this body, this personality, the avatar. I think we talked about that last week. And that is the part that's programmable, because that's the part that is part of this world. So the more you know who you are, the less programmable you become, I think. That, like, because you can see the difference, okay, well, I know who I am and I'm X, Y, and Z. I'm not just this body. I'm like the expression goes, we're divine being having a human experience. But the more attached you are to the construct, the more attached you are to the personality, the job, whatever it is on this planet, then the more programmable you are, because the less you know the true essence of yourself.
Yeah. Well, that's just, I fully understand what you're saying, is because if, say, at the hypnosis thing, right? So if you hop out of your body more or less and just hand your body over to the stage, yeah, so it's only your avatar that's being programmed. And then as soon as you hop back behind the reins again, as in your higher self or whoever it is, the soul or whatever, and they go, no, hang on a minute, that's what they take control back. Yeah.
In speaking to that, you have a disaster already. Last week, we know that the part of the manifestation is putting something into action, right? So acting on getting disaster ready is the act of manifesting it into your existence. Yeah. You don't manifest by sitting here going, I think I am dollars. You manifest by going, okay, well, I want to make some more money, so I'm going to go out and do some things. And then the contract sees that you're doing some things, and then it gives you more things. And then, there's an action involved. Like the avatar has to be involved in the manifestation. And so that question, are you disaster ready? It speaks to, it's like, hey, you better get disaster ready. And boom, and getting disaster ready, you're in action to create a disaster.
Yeah. So I wonder if you don't do anything, like if I just throw that in the bin, and don't do any disaster ready, that maybe doesn't come to fruition. But I sort of think, like, where Dad lives, there is it's like very bushy around him.
Yeah.
A lot of bush. So he has like sprinklers on the roof. And so he's and a pump. So then if it does come, that it's, you're not gonna, your house won't burn down.
Yeah.
Hopefully. So I suppose that's like, yeah, so there's a bit of a thing, isn't there? Like where do you draw the line between head in the sand to being aware? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where the line, where do you draw the line?
I think that's an individual question, because depending on your programming, right? Like you're gonna be different than your neighbor. Like we've all seen, like in the States, you've seen hurricanes go by and blow one house to the ground, and the one beside it is fine. We've seen the same in fires. We've seen, those kind of things happen. And you could explain that through a lot of different things. But if we're looking at it just from manifesting and inviting things into our world, or not allowing things into our world, it's like, what is it that makes one person's house fall down? Or why does the carjacker steal that car and not that car, right? What's in the programming of the individual to create that? So if you were to just throw away that card and said, oh, it's a bunch of bunk, I'm not going to think about it, and you actually got it away from your consciousness, right? Which some people could do and some people couldn't, then I suspect that you would be fine. If you're somebody that it will weigh on your mind, regardless of whether you act or you don't act, then there's still energy there.
But is it, it's a bit of a topic. Is it, so we go back to the hypnosis thing, right? And so we're all sitting there in the crowd. And so you're there, and because you're aware of what's going on, that you can't be hypnotized. but you're still participating at the event and you're still there watching. So I wonder if that's sort of being
Well,
prepared.
that's like you're in the audience, you mean?
Yeah.
It's interesting because somebody said to me just the other day, like if you, and this was the big 2012 Olympics thing, the ritual of the 2012 Olympics opening ceremony was all about COVID.
Yeah.
And the closing ceremony was all about Phoenix in 2040. But so basically that ceremony was all about seven seals of revelation now that I'm thinking about it. But so just inadvertently, and it's the same with halftime shows at ball games and so forth and so on, just by witnessing a I call them rituals, right? Because they're these manifestation rituals. Just by witnessing one of these events, you're actually participating in it, whether you realize it's a ritual or not. So yeah, you're right. Like so, just by sitting in and watching somebody, like you're still participating in whatever is going on just by watching it.
Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking. Like, but so if you are aware though, like if you are aware of what's going on, so that puts you outside of it then, because then you can't be programmed. Just say like us, if we go back to the 2020 thing, right?
Yeah.
And like we knew straight away that within the first 2 weeks that this is all put on,
Mm-hmm.
that it's to take mass control.
Mm-hmm.
So then we weren't able to be manipulated to take the injection,
Mm-hmm.
but we still had to participate in the whole thing. So we were a participant, but we're on the outside.
Yeah, and everybody's level of that I think is a little bit different, right? I know people that went and carried on their business and didn't like you're living in the ridiculousness, but you're still working and seeing your customers and doing all that. And then I know other people that tried to do that and got shut down. And again, it's who's stronger, like who knows self more. Like if you know yourself, you can't get pushed into a corner like that. But if you have any kind of doubt, then the doubt is going to, create that oppression. Because it was oppression, right? Like we're all oppressed.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I like lifetimes ago, I used to smoke, right? And I quit smoking with a hypnotist. Because I had stopped for 3 years and then I had started again for about 5 weeks or something like that, right when I got back from Canada. And I was like, oh no, it's getting me again. And I was just like, I want to knock this thing out. Went to this amazing hypnotist in Vancouver, phenomenal. And I remember lying in his chair the first session. It was 3 hours, and I went back for two. And I'm lying in there, and I'm under hypnosis, and we're going through the regression that he did, and so forth. And I was conscious enough in my thoughts to go, I don't have to answer these questions. I don't have to do any of this. But because I wanted the hypnosis to work to quit the smoking, because I wanted to stop smoking, I chose to let myself be hypnotized, even though I was aware that I didn't need, like I could have not been hypnotized. Like maybe I wasn't even hypnotized and I was just going through the motions because I wanted to stop smoking.
Yeah.
I had these thoughts, like in my thoughts where I don't have to do this. Okay. Like I'm like, am I hypnotized? I don't know if I'm hypnotized because I could easily just sit up right now and not do anything that he's asking me to do and not answer the questions that he's asking with me. Like I was just fully aware of it.
Yeah. It's
So you do give permission. I think that there's a consent that happens.
well
Even beyond the brainwashing.
well, remember when they were doing the injections, like you had to give consent.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you're forced, you know, you didn't.
Even though you're bawling your eyes out and saying, I don't want to do this.
Yeah. I mean, most people, there's always 20% that they've just would do whatever. If they say jump off the bridge, they'll jump off, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
There's always 20%, but the other 80 really didn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But they were forced because, you got to
coerced, manipulated.
Yeah, you got to put food on the table or, you wanted even just to go out to the restaurant or something.
Mm-hmm.
But so those people, like, they had to give their permission. Like everybody had to say they had to give their permission. So I'm just wondering, whatever's in it, in that injection, you're giving the permission for that to work, for them to take the control,
Mm-hmm.
like the hypnotist thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And in that case too, like the injection can be a lot of different things for a lot of different people. Right. Mhm. But yeah, you are giving you like on some level there's a consent. Like I watch TV, right? I like watching a couple shows. I live alone. I turn the TV on for an hour or two a day, and I like it, right? It's like entertainment. But I'm fully aware that I'm turning it on and there's going to be programming.
Yeah.
And I watch it with curiosity. Like I have to because I have to be the non-consent part, right? Like so I have to be vigilant because I can go, wow, okay, well look, they're I don't know if you've heard the expression whitewashing, but now they're changing all the white actors to black actors because they're doing that reversal. They're making the women, masculine and the men feminine. Right? There's this reversal thing that's going on in TV right now, and so I watch it with this kind of awareness of going, okay, well that's what they're trying to program me with, right? But I'm aware of it, and I turn on the TV and I'm a no to being programmed into it. But I can imagine without that, just like with your card, like when you don't know, when you don't have your protection up. It's why, like I've told everybody that knows me, don't send me politics on social media and a private message. If I'm getting a private message, I think you want to talk to me and it's going to be social. If you start sending me politics, go away because I'll open it up and I'm not ready for a flash of programming, right?
Yeah.
And so I just shut it right down. So when I'm watching TV, I can actually consciously say I don't consent to whatever programs are in this television. Like even the call, they call them programs, right? That's what TV shows are.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah,
They
TV
call them
program.
programs.
Yeah, they even call it programming.
Yeah. Oh, here's one that a friend of mine pointed out. I don't know how people are going to feel about this, and I've been doing a lot in Revelations and the Seven Seals and stuff myself. But as you know, I'm not religious, but there's some information there that is valuable. And my friend was like the other day, she's like, gospel, right? Gossip, spell,
Oh,
right?
yeah, right.
So like the spell casting gossip, like that permission to talk about stuff. It's not true. It's like how the words are used is fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
and
So
I didn't even
TV tell a vision, right? Is telling us the vision that they want for us. They tell us what they're going to do, not what is, because there's no point in doing what is. That's boring. They got to tell us what they want to do. Um, programs are on the TV, right? Like,
yeah.
there's a ton of examples if you went out there and you start looking at it. Like it's there. It's all the information is there to realize, wow, the whole system is, as you say, programming.
Yeah, well, they definitely know the design. And that's like the Freemasons. Like when you look at the free if you look on um like Wikipedia or something like that about the Freemasons, and they say that they were architects and builders of buildings, actual physical, but that's not correct.
They were stonemasons. They just happen to consider themselves free people.
But they're not even stone. That's all right.
No, I
That's all.
know, I know.
Yeah, they're stonemasons. What a load of
Yeah.
rubbish. They're actually that's actually reality creators. That's what it is. They're creators of reality.
Mm-hmm.
So they are builders. They're building reality.
Yeah, and that's the architect, right?
They're the architects of reality.
Yeah,
Your
and if
physical
you relate
reality.
this to how to create your personal life, that's a really good one because we talked about manifesting and creating your personal life. So the Freemasons act as architects, right? Trusting that they put the information out there, whether it's on the TV or like or however the information gets out there, and they don't have to actually do the how, the building. They just have to think the thought and do their rituals, right? 2012 as an example. I'll use that at the Olympics just because that's when we were starting. But there's lots of different ways to do the rituals. And if we can do that too, right? We can say, okay, well, I'm the architect. I don't need to build anything because I'm not a builder, I'm an architect. And then let the builders do it.
Yeah,
You
that's
see,
true too.
by making sense with the parallels. So the Freemasons do it, and we all act as their little builders just by spellcasting for them, which is what everybody's doing now. But we can take that on a smaller level and say, well, I want to be an architect, I don't want to be a builder. So I'm going to imagine. Now they're doing a really good job of killing our imagination, but imagine what I want and set it into motion with a ritual and an action, and then trust that builders are going to show up, put it into play.
Yeah. Because if you look at their tool, their emblem with the square and the compass, that's how you draw sacred geometry.
Mhm.
They're the tools you need. And then if you have a look on their, if you go and if anyone can do this and go and look at their their tools, and then up the top in that circle will be the photon, because that's light.
Mm-hmm.
So you need the light as the thought to build and then create the geometry to build
So
the
you think the
reality.
light is representation of the idea?
Yeah. And then create the reality and then get other people to build it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if the construct is mathematical, then that happens automatically, right? The construct is the builders, because that's the tools that you're speaking of. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Yeah. 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 Like everything that's happening, I'm reading a book about it right now, actually. I think I told you about it, the stolen focus. If we can't imagine an amazing life, if we don't even know what that's like, right? Like, then we can't manifest it. So a lot of what's happening right now, getting us all on our left brain, getting us into routine, everything like that with our lives, getting us stressed out about things, is all to kill imagination. Imagination is where it starts. Not
Yeah.
in daydreaming. I'm not talking about daydreaming, but the imagination of of living in possibility.
Well, that's why they told us, America had the American dream and Australia had the Australian dream of having the house and the two kids and the white picket fence and the car, one car, and
Mm-hmm.
dad to go to work and mum stays at home, and that used
Been
to
a
be,
long time.
yeah, that was they were told that when they were at school. That was the Australian dream. The American dream, they almost, I think all the Westerners probably had the same dream, but then that's over years that's changed. So they've got rid of their dream.
But that was also programming. We were
Well,
programmed
it was definitely programmed for that
to
because
want that dream, right?
yeah, well
We
they
were
wanted that.
programmed into a nuclear family, and then we were programmed out of a nuclear family with a financial system that supports it.
Yeah.
On the future, I think that it's going to be harder and harder for many people to actually even support themselves financially, let alone a family, with the inflation.
Yeah. Well, this is how they're going to get the digital currency. They've got to they've got to do the exact. See, they've already done the pre-run with COVID. And so if you remember when they had the 2020 tyranny, I call it. Remember they had the coupons where you could go and they'd give you to Harvey Norman or so one of the big suppliers that you got free coupons to go to.
I didn't go shopping in COVID. I don't go shopping
Oh
anymore.
no, I didn't know, but you could go to your Service New South Wales app. Oh no,
Mm-hmm.
you're in Victoria. Maybe you didn't get it. So in New South Wales, we had the Service New South Wales app, and then you're given this free money. But that was the digital currency getting tested.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were testing out the coupon money because it's just coupon money. That's all digital currency. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And so what they did, they gave out all the money to go to and test it out at these big, the big stores.
Yeah. Well, it's the basic income, whatever it's called, right?
Universal basic UBI, universal
That's
basic income.
yeah.
But so what I was getting to was, see, at the very start of the tyranny, when they first, it was they were saying that people were saying, oh, you're going to be locked down, and then they said, oh no, that's all conspiracy. It's only remember, it was supposed to be 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
2 weeks flatten the curve.
Yeah,
and look at us
yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's 3 years later, it's still going. But it was 2 weeks to flatten the curve because they just you can't. People take a bit of time to program. It's just like that disaster, they put the disaster thing
Yeah,
the
they couldn't have
letterbox.
done that 4 years. They're doing a lot of things now that they couldn't have done 4 years ago. We're
Yeah.
frogs in boiling pot, right? Like the 2 weeks to flatten the curve was just one little step, right? And they just kept tightening the screws and tightening the screws and tightening the screws. Now people, you can do anything. People will just do it.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you still see people walking with masks on. Like it's
Yeah.
just in the car by himself, even.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking,
I think more of them are starting to put it on again because they're bringing out there's that new thing that just happened in Japan or something like that. Somebody flew into the States and hasn't even, I don't know. I just kind of heard it in passing this morning.
yeah, well, I've heard a couple of podcasts where they're in other countries and they're saying that they've noticed more and more people are starting to wear the mask. They are
Yeah.
they are programming, getting us ready for the next one, which is supposed to be in 2025. But I think
But if
that,
we know it's programming and we all knew it was programming, we're all awake to it, right?
but we're not all awake to it. That's the thing.
I know, which is why you're here, right?
Yeah.
But we've been living in this mass cult, right? This mass formation, whatever it's called. I can't find my words today. It's really weird. Um, this mass programming, mass formation, whatever. What is it? You know what I mean? I know you do. Anyway,
Psychosis, so you're saying? Like a mass psychosis?
yeah, that's the one. And you know what it's like to break people out of when they've been programmed in a cult, for example, right? Well, there's billions of people that are all in this cult, and we have to break them out of this psychosis, and some people, woke up at 9/11 or prior to. Some people were never programmed. Other people, like, just in COVID, knew, right? Even at the beginning of COVID, like, it was just like I knew that the world was never going to be the same again, right? Like, you just knew the world was going to be different. And I actually even said it to somebody. I was just like, something's different in the world.
Yeah.
It's just and then the next one, like, as things go on, like, people wake up with whatever action they're going to wake up with. But if we were just all awake and people stopped spellcasting, then none of this would happen. None of it.
The solution's so could be so quick and so easy.
Yeah,
This
like
is
we've seen it even in all the images, like that famous story of the chessboard with the cat sitting around all on the backs of, the minions and stuff. Like, we just don't have to do it.
Did you see Toy Story?
Oh God, a
The first one?
long time ago.
Yeah. Remember Woody? He climbs up into one of those machines, with the claw. The claw comes down, and then the little green
Mm-hmm.
minion, when he said that, it comes down, and they all look up and says, "The claw says who will stay and who will go." And Woody's looking, and he's just going, slaps himself on the face and goes, "Oh my God." He goes, what's wrong with these people? No, it's not they're going the claw. And this is, you know
Yeah,
how like everything's in all the movies, and especially
yeah,
the kids movies, especially.
yeah. That's like the one with the ants, right? I haven't seen it, but they were like, "Oh, don't let the ants know how powerful they are, because there's way more of them than we are." Right?
Yeah.
I can't remember the movie or the famous line, but it's the same thing. They tell us everything.
Yeah, every especially the kids movies especially have
Yeah.
all the programming in it. Well,
That's why I say
it's like they're
what
doing a
every
piece.
movie has a doco, and every doco is as fiction, and you'll be
Yeah,
fine.
but it's like they're doing a piss take. All these kids movies. It's like The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Like how many things in The Simpsons, and then you see memes all the time. You think, like, how did they know that was going to happen? So it's because
Because they created it.
it's already pre-programmed.
Yeah, exactly. It's not um, predicting. It's planning.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you don't have to predict the future if you've planned it. Like, Albert Pike wasn't saying, "I want to see these three wars." He was like, "No, this is what we're going to do,"
Yeah.
and just
And
did it.
yeah, this disaster thing, I I did a little bit of research. Oh, well, not a little bit, a lot, I suppose, into like the wars and how Switzerland became to be the what do they call it? That neutral country,
Switzerland became Switzerland.
Well, now how it's neutral.
Yeah, it's not
You know,
anymore. It hasn't been since 2010, but yeah.
No, but you know why it's neutral is because the BIS, the Banking for International Settlements, who control the whole monetary system of the whole world, that's where they are.
Okay.
That's where their
Yeah,
base is.
yeah.
And
But like the US, like Obama went into Switzerland in 2010 and closed 42,000 American bank accounts, offshore bank accounts. Like it's not really Switzerland. Switzerland's not Switzerland.
yeah, but that's all. You got to remember though, they do all these things for smoke and mirrors to make it look
Yeah.
like they can't because otherwise everyone would wake up and go, hang on a minute, how come Switzerland never gets nothing ever happens to it? You
Mm-hmm.
know, why are they neutral? I remember when when you hear you'd be an argument or something, and then and another person go, "I'm Switzerland, I'm neutral." You know, like they would.
I do that all the time. And then I
Yeah,
can't use that anymore because we know
yeah,
Switzerland's not neutral.
yeah. But it is. But they've got to make it out to be. They can't. They have to make it look like they're still participating, but they're not. Like it's a smoke and mirror thing because the banking for international settlements, they control the whole monetary system. They control all the reserve banks of the world. And so they control that. Then they control the WF, and then they control the International Monetary Fund. They control everything. And then
Mm-hmm.
even the Red Cross, right? And you look at the Red Cross and look at their symbol, and then you look at the Switzerland flag, the same symbol, just red.
Mm-hmm.
And that cross is actually the photon just turned into a cross, like a plus
Yeah.
sign.
Yeah.
And so, and guess where the Red Cross is
I
situated?
know Switzerland. Yeah, it's all
Switzerland.
in Basel. Everything's in Basel.
Yeah, because they're money launderers and criminals, from way back. And um, yeah, so the wars, like everything's created, the whole thing, the whole program, and then you look into it with because what happened was with Germany, Germany was starting to get too powerful. And they're going, oh shit, we can't control Germany. So then they had to create a thing to make it look like to take their power away. The same as what they're doing now with America. And so
Mm-hmm.
how do you the whole West, like how do you take the power out of the West without even firing
But
one?
you're talking like you think that there's good guys and bad guys. Are you
No, no,
I
there's just
don't see it that. I think there's evil and false light, right?
I just think there's just controllers. Like this is how they control the whole world.
Yeah. And so they give the power, the Western world's had the power for however many decades, and now they're shifting it back out of our hands,
But I
right?
think if it's a chess game, like the chess game's been run since 1900s, but it's a long game. They're playing
Yeah, but
like
the players are on the same team, right? Like
yeah,
left wing, right wing are on the same bird.
yeah. It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
But to say for the West, say that all the wars and everything led to America being the top dog, but that was never the program. The program was always to get the Chinese because they're the easily programmed. Like the Asians got a different chipset. Not being
Mm-hmm.
racist or anything, but they just have, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why they can do all those menial tasks. They have a different chipset. I don't know what it is about them.
I think that's just been longer. It's been there longer.
Yeah, no, they've got it. I think they've just got a different
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean.
they got a different way they can be. It's just like an iPhone to a Android.
Mm-hmm.
They both do the same thing, but they're totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And so what they did with the West to eventually get the power out of the West and over to China because they're easily controlled is to take the manufacturing out. And so then
Mm-hmm.
you make them without firing one bullet. They don't have to fire a single shot to disarm the whole Western
Yeah.
society.
Infiltration, not invasion.
Yeah, all they did was make us reliant on somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah,
then,
like
yeah, you
all
go,
the Five Eyes countries, like it started in Australia in '73 with the Lima Accord, right?
yeah,
Where it was just send everything overseas and import everything. Like there's no reason for us, if you're in Australia, to be getting oranges from overseas when, and shipping our oranges. And you did the same in Canada with their lumber, like I saw it, the water and everything else. But they've made every country reliant on every other country instead of being self-sufficient.
yeah. Well, it's all reliant on well, the yeah. Well, that's it. That's it. That's how they're doing it. Because people go, oh, how can that be? And they say, well, that's how they do it for it's one big chess game,
Yeah,
you know.
really.
And but
It,
we
it,
can still we can still salvage the whole thing, you know.
mhm,
Like if everybody just had if everyone just spent half an hour of their time and went, okay, then this guy sounds like an idiot, but and a tinfoil hatter and a conspiracy theorist or whatever. But all you got to do, like it'll take half an hour to go look at it and say, okay, what did the BIS? They were playing both sides of the war, taking gold from one and putting gold in the other, and
mhm,
they'll finance on both sides to
mhm.
get the war
Oh, the
going.
Taliban is a CIA operation, the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing. And then you look at if you come all the way forward to the 9/11 that you brought up before, they bombed their own buildings, and then everybody now can see that the buildings were a demolished job, not a from the skies from the planes. Like you can see it
Mhm,
plain as day. Like they've got all the footage. It's even on YouTube. I think they've got a 2 hours. They've got engineers. There's so much stuff to show that there are implosions to bring the buildings down,
mhm,
and people just to get a war going, to take more control away. You know,
mhm.
but yeah, people still can't. And with the Iraq War, like, so that got the Iraq War going and the weapons of mass destruction. And then now, it only takes 5 minutes to go find that information out to say that was all made up, that
Mhm.
there was no weapons of mass destruction. But like, oh well, and everyone else goes, oh, well, look, bird.
Yeah. But
It's just like, but
speaking
you
of that
think,
and how programming works, like with 9/11. So I read a study once years ago where it said something like after 9/11, I think it was 13% of the population believed it was a terrorist attack out of the Middle East, right? And then 6 months later, 65% of Americans believed, sorry, 13% of Americans believed it was a terrorist attack right after it happened. Six months later, 65% or 67% or whatever of Americans believed it was a terrorist attack. Now, what happened in those 6 months? A lot of news,
yeah,
right? So they kept getting programmed after. But if you were to ask them right after it happened, people had the wherewithal to go, hey, how can a plane fly into this floor and have the metal heated down there? Like, and how come they went straight down? Like the questions were asked right afterwards. But as it started showing on the TV, because it was another ritual that was broadcast 24/7 for like 2 weeks, right?
yeah,
And then after that, and so yeah, so it actually the television changed their minds, the news changed their minds after the fact.
yeah. And I was working at a TV station at the time as an electrician, and like I didn't know there was a third building that
Building
got
seven,
flattened, building 7. And so that's a 47-story building that imploded.
building 47 wasn't 47.
No, it's building
Anyway,
7. Building
building
7
seven.
was
Yeah,
right
sorry,
next.
building seven. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
because
right
there was
next
this
to it.
newscaster that was like reading the news about building seven
Yeah, and it
falling, and
went
she said it right
behind him.
before it fell.
It imploded. Yeah, and I don't think that was meant to happen.
And what really happened at the Pentagon? But yeah, no. So
Oh yeah,
it's
the and the Pentagon, forgot about that. But
speaking
that was
to
not built up. If you ask most people wouldn't know about Building 7
yeah,
unless you looked into it, because that was
mhm,
never mentioned, because uh, it is a physical impossibility that could happen
yeah,
by bit of fire on the roof or
mhm,
some debris on the roof or whatever. Like it just can't implode like that. It's impossible.
yeah. But if I just want to go back to your point, so like you think of what I just said about changing your belief after the fact because of the programming that happened
Yeah,
and it went on for years, really. Um, and then you talk about changing the world that we're in, and saying people spend a half an hour looking into it or doing their own work or whatever. But if you get into, and this is where I'm going to sound really woo woo, right? Like that you can, just as that example we said, you can change something after the fact, change the belief around it after the fact, which can change it because time is part of the construct, right? So you don't like you can do it right now. It doesn't need to, nothing, everything can happen in a split second. Anything can happen in a split second if you have the belief system and the will and the desire to change something in a split second. It can happen in a split.
Yeah,
And
it's
if all of us had that, if all of us had that, then we would change the world. Now, all of us don't have that, like you just said, so we can change our world. And by
mm,
changing our individual world, more and more of us collectively start changing.
yeah. If people just did just a little bit of research, just like a little tad, just a small bit, then you could like it just sticks out like a sore thumb. It's just like when as soon as you buy the new car, everybody's got that car. Like you
Mm-hmm.
never seen it before.
Yeah, confirmation bias.
Yeah.
I think the thing with the do your own research phrase, um, and why people don't look in, like, because there's programming around that too, right? Like anybody that's drank the Kool-Aid, they can't really have a conversation with them about it, and they don't know why. Like, there's no rational reason why anybody's wearing a mask right now. But even in when we were all locked down and we were researching like crazy, how many YouTube, like hours and hours and hours of just information, there was that notion, there's a thing that people were doing, and if it wasn't on mainstream, then it must be true, right? And they would go, oh my God, so and so channel was taken off of YouTube. So they must have said something that the deep state didn't like, right? And it's like, hang on, that's part of the show too, right? Like, make you think that's true because they were taken off of YouTube. So you have to be really, really careful because it's the research needs to be evidence based, and it's really hard to get proper evidence out there right now for just on YouTube because it's going to tell you, slot you into a narrative.
And I think what's going to happen is the internet, I think within the next year, because of the election that's coming up in America, I think the internet, they're going to shut the internet down, as in the free internet that we have today, because of the deep fakes that's going to be happening with AI.
Yeah, I think that the internet's going to go down too. I think it's going to be a temporary thing.
But to go back onto it, you're going to need facial recognition. You're going to have to use your, so that's how they'll know that you'll get it like a credit score. That's how they're going to introduce a credit score.
Yeah, that's
That's what I think is
interesting.
going to happen. But it will be interesting to see.
Like, I think it will go down. One, because that psyop known as Q has been talking about that 10 days of darkness forever, and we think that's an internet shutdown. But also, like, even with the decoders that I follow and everything, like, it will go down, but it'll come up differently, which is why they're not too worried about, us putting a bunch of stuff on it right now, because they know they're going to do a computer wipe, right? The modern day book burning is coming. So maybe it'll be that you have to use your biometrics to get back on the internet when it comes
Yeah.
back up, but it will come up differently. Like, if they're not going to get rid of it because they want to control us with it. So, just like blockchain, like, they're not going to do away with blockchain because they need it to control us, right? And they just have to navigate the fact that some people are going to have decentralized crypto because they want their centralized crypto on the blockchain, so then they won't get rid of the technology that does that.
Yeah, it's going to be there's going to be some crazy times ahead. But yeah, so I don't know if we actually we solved any problems today. We talked about a lot of the disasters that, but if people just aware, like where it hasn't happened yet. Now all the disasters and things haven't happened yet. And so then if you listen to this now,
And they don't have to.
yeah, they don't have to. That's the whole thing. We can just choose not to participate.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm starting to think that means that doesn't mean that they're not going to happen, but they don't need to happen to us
Yeah.
by not participating.
Yeah. Just like you can't be hypnotized at a hypnotist show. So you just
There's
be,
always going to be people out there that are hypnotizable, that are going to fall to it, that are going to do it.
yeah. So there's going to be people around you that are going to be all hypnotized, but you'd be looking around going, what's wrong with these people? Like getting back to Woody in the, getting back to Woody in Toy Story.
Yeah.
Oh, the claw says who will stay and who will go.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what it's
TV,
like.
like the animated shows are fascinating for programming. Like Wally, I remember watching Wally, and was it Wally? And how, the programming, like, every doomsday show you see, outside the wall, the earth is like all rubble and dark and dirty. And it's just like, if there's no people there, that thing's going to be so green. Like, they've got you thinking, oh, you don't want to go out there because it's like,
Yeah.
scavengers and there's nothing there. Like, of course, there's going to be full of food and everything. Or like, I think it was Wally with the fat people where everybody was just really round and then they were on these conveyor belts and they'd get their
Yeah.
big drinks. Was that Wally?
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know about Wally.
Anyway.
Um, Yeah, well, that's an hour's gone by pretty quick.
Done again, Troy?
Yeah, we're done again. Wow.
We
Yeah,
talked about
so
some
well,
programming. That was fun.
yeah, so today was really just about programming and but that so all that means is that we're programmable, you know. So all it means is that we have all the power already. So we already have all the power to choose our programming. So that's why why I'm really sort of doing the podcast is to try and bring awareness that we have all the power. Like you have power within you to heal yourself. You have power to manifest. You have power to create. You have power. Everybody already has that. And I think that it's coming to a head that it's going to be faster and faster to what we can manifest.
And we'll be more and more empowered to show up.
Yeah. So in saying all that, if you want to come over to ask, find anything about me, you can head over to troycoleman.com. So that has everything, the links to the free community platform where you learn about manifesting and all those things. And if you want to catch up with Pia, she'll let you know shortly, probably in the next podcast when she has all her breath work
Yeah, no, I
running.
definitely will. I'll have my events up on about right by next week, I think.
Yeah. So when she has all her breath
Make
work
my
thing up
website.
and
I got a lot to do.
yeah, she's got a lot to manifest. Yeah. Yeah. So either way, it's just if everyone can just realize that you have all the power already, you know, if you can heal your finger from a cut, you can heal anything.
Mm.
And so then, so the healing stuff's okay. So that's good. So we've got that. But then, so then we need to work on our life, you know, to start get to heading the energy flows where focus goes. So we just got to focus. If we have a focus point to where we're going, and then that has to happen. Like the apple seed must turn into the apple tree.
All the more reason not to focus on the news.
Yeah. So, but I think it's good to be aware. So then you can't be hypnotized.
Awareness is not focus.
Yeah. Awareness. That's all, not focus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right then, Pia. Well, thanks very much for
Chatting as always.
yeah, being on the um, Mastering the Matrix podcast, you know, where we bring all the tools and hacks to hack the matrix. All right, everybody. Well, thanks very much, and we'll see you on the next one.